Hello, beautiful ladies. As you sit in this room tonight, I want you to take notice how different you all are from one another. You all come from different walks of life. You do different things, and no two people are the same in here. I want to bring to light one thing that we all have in common. We all have thoughts. My thoughts are something that I'm learning more and more with each passing year. Today, I want to share briefly with you my story and my struggle with thoughts. What many of us don't know is that what we think determines how we feel and what we do. And I want to say that again to let it sit. What we think determines how we feel and what we do. Have you ever woken up in the morning and fallen into the trap of negative self-talk? In other words, believed in lies? Maybe you've found yourself treating people differently, your attitude has changed, and you find yourself at the end of the day full of guilt and frustration because you let one little lie fester and dictate your whole day. I guarantee you there isn't one in this room that wouldn't say that they don't struggle with lies. We all do. In 2014, right before my 25th birthday, I found myself becoming a victim of lies. And it was the first time in my life that I dealt with depression. If you've ever dealt with depression, you know that each case is different for each person. It's almost like you're stuck underwater and you're trying to reach the top, but you're drowning in lies and frustration and guilt and hurt. I found myself waking up in the morning believing in lies that I told myself. Maybe you're like me and you've told yourself these things. I looked and I said, I'm ugly. I am a failure. I'm not a good mom. I have no friends and I have no value. I will never get the job that I want because I'm just not good enough. And I was just believing in every single lie that came into my mind. I looked at my life and my life seemed fine. My husband and I were a year out from planning a church in Asheville, North Carolina, and we had a lot of transitions to go through and we had a lot to look forward to. It was an exciting season to say the least. But as I looked at my life, I felt so much discontentment and I was so unhappy. It got to the point where I started to lose motivation. I didn't want to get out of bed. I didn't want to take a shower. I didn't even want to be around my friends. And I realized that I was in a dark place. I remember reaching out to my husband one day and we decided for me to start counseling. My journey through counseling and depression was probably one of the hardest seasons of my life, but it's the one that saved me. I still can't pinpoint what brought on my depression, but I know now that it was a series of believing in every single lie that came into my mind. As I ventured into counseling, I quickly learned that I was very insecure, I struggled with approval, and I was susceptible to everything that came into my mind. I quickly learned that I was believing the same thing that I believed when I was 13 years old, when my childhood was at its worst. One of the biggest things I learned is that when a lie comes into your mind and you believe it over and over time, it becomes your truth. You get to a place where you can't even distinguish if something is truth or a lie because you've been believing in it for so long. That was me. I was at my worst. I remember one pivotal day in my counseling experience, and I was explaining to my counselor that I really struggled with a certain friend's approval. I felt like she didn't want to be my friend, so that made me feel like I wasn't likable, that I didn't have worth, and I didn't have value. She looked at me dead in the eye that day, and she said, Chelsea, you have value, and you never lost your value. And I said, huh? And she said, Chelsea, you never lost your value. It's just been covered up over by lies that you've told yourself for all these years. She said, the day that Jesus died on the cross was the day that your value was established. It was the day that your worth was established. So you don't need to look for approval in other people because Jesus did something for you that said that you're worth it and that you have value. It was like a light bulb went off for me. And from there on out, I was able to heal and I was able to learn tools how to best manage my thought life. I know that my journey through counseling and depression is one to the extreme, but maybe you've come to draw near believing in lies about yourself or maybe other people. I've learned recently that we can't control the voices that reign at us, but we can control the voices that reside in us. Sometimes we can't even control our circumstances. If you are struggling today, it may be out of your control, but you can refuse to be a victim of lies. I know that April and the Draw Near team, we want you to have an amazing weekend full of creativity, discovery, and encouragement. The enemy wants to keep you from experiencing God's best. If you've come in this weekend feeling like you're a failure, feeling like you're not loved, or you don't have value, I want to tell you today that you have value. It's just been covered up by all the lies that you have told yourself over the years, and maybe even today. It's time as sisters that we stop this pattern of negative self-talk. It's time that we start saying true things to ourselves, about ourselves. You are not a failure. You are loved. You are valued. And let us choose this truth today.